Attention passionate Washington Commanders fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Washington Commanders' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Washington Commanders fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS, and Washington Commanders FANS. Let's get to the news in what could be one of the most seismic shifts in the NFC East in recent memory. Whispers are growing louder about a potential blockbuster trade that could reshape the landscape of the division. And it involves none other than Max Crosby, the ferocious edge rusher from the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Wait, Crosby. Isn't he a cornerstone for the Raiders? Well, hold on, because recent rumors suggest the Raiders might be shopping their star pass rusher, and the Washington Commanders are reportedly very interested. This isn't just idle chatter. It's a serious possibility that could have long-term ramifications for both teams and, most importantly, for the Commanders' quest to return to dominance. Let's take a step back and analyze what's fueling this buzz. The Raiders, currently sitting at a disappointing 2-8 record, are struggling on both sides of the ball. Their defense, which was supposed to be a strength coming into the season, is leaking points at an alarming rate, giving up an average of 25. 3 points per game. That's a number that simply can't be ignored when you're trying to rebuild a roster. The offense isn't much better with a middling 15. 5 points per game, ranking 29th in the league, and a 29% conversion rate on third down. It's clear that the Raiders are in rebuild mode, and part of that rebuild involves making tough decisions about their veteran players and upcoming draft picks. Sources close to the situation have indicated that the Raiders are eyeing a significant rebuild, especially on their offensive line, which has been plagued by injuries and inconsistencies. Post-deadline, which is November 4th, is when things are expected to heat up. Although we're still in the realm of speculation, reputable insiders like Adam Schefter have pointed out a possible fatigue setting in within the Raiders' pass rush, especially in isolated situations. That fatigue, combined with the team's overall struggles, might lead to the Raiders making a bold move, trading Crosby for a first-round pick in the 2026 draft, which would be a major asset for a team looking to build for the future. Now, why would the Commanders be so interested? Well, if you've been paying attention to their current defensive stats, you'll notice they're underperforming significantly in pass rush. With only 18 sacks so far this season, the Commanders' front seven could use a game-changing talent like Max Crosby. Remember, Crosby isn't just a pass rusher. He's a disruptive force, a guy who can alter the course of a game with his relentless motor and elite pass-rushing skills. In fact, his career stats over 7 seasons include 259 solo tackles, 149 assists, 408 combined tackles, and a total of 65 sacks. His PFF grade, which is one of the most respected metrics for evaluating player performance, sits at a solid 85. 2 for his career, with a pass rush win rate of around 28%. That means he gets consistent pressure on quarterbacks, and last year he had over 150 pressures, which is elite in today's NFL. Looking at his 2025 season, Crosby has already made a significant impact in just 10 games, 26 solo tackles, 16 assists, 42 combined, and 0 sacks, along with a couple of forced fumbles and an interception. His PFF overall grade for this season is an impressive 81, ranking him among the top edge rushers in the league. His ability to generate pressure, combined with his relentless effort, mirrors the impact of players like Myles Garrett for the Cleveland Browns, who has elevated their sack total by over 20% this year. Crosby could do the same for the Commanders, transforming their pass rush from a weakness into a strength, especially in critical moments. For the Commanders, this trade could be a game-changer. At 3-8, they're still fighting for a playoff spot, but their defense has been a concern all season, surrendering an average of 26, 9 points per game, and struggling to generate enough pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Adding Crosby could push their total sack count from the current 20 to well over 35, giving their defense a massive boost. His presence alone would likely reduce opposing rushing yards from around 130 yards per game to under 100, making it much harder for teams to move the chains on the ground. Plus, the EPA, expected points added, against the pass would improve significantly, potentially around 20, meaning their defense would be more effective in limiting big plays and turnovers. This potential move also has strategic implications in the NFC East. The division has become fiercely competitive, with teams like the Eagles and Cowboys boasting formidable defenses and dynamic quarterbacks. Crosby's arrival would bolster the Commanders' ability to challenge these teams, especially when facing quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts, who's been a nightmare for defenses this year, with Crosby's PFF grade of 81. One shining in snowy conditions, something he's shown he can excel in. Washington could become a true nightmare for NFC East quarterbacks, forcing more turnovers and creating chaos in the backfield. Moreover, this trade could serve as a statement to the division, signaling that the Commanders are serious about contending again. Their recent draft picks and free agent signings have shown a desire to rebuild with young, talented players, but adding a veteran like Crosby would bring a different level of intensity and leadership to the locker room. It would also send a message to the rest of the league that Washington isn't here to just compete. They want to dominate. Now, let's not forget about the Raiders in this equation. This move could be a way for them to accelerate their rebuild, especially if they're planning to pivot towards a more youth-oriented roster. Trading Crosby would free up around $18 million in cap space, giving them flexibility to acquire future draft picks, focus on their quarterback needs, and rebuild their defense from the ground up. Candidly, with their current trajectory, it's hard to see the Raiders holding on to Crosby long-term if they're committed to a full rebuild. Rumors have circulated that they're skeptical about retaining him if they don't see immediate success, and trading him now could be the best way to maximize his value. For the Commanders, this isn't just about acquiring a star player. It's about making a statement that they're ready to take the next step in their evolution. Crosby's addition would elevate their entire defensive front, making life miserable for opposing quarterbacks and creating more turnovers, which are crucial for winning games. The NFL has shown over and over that elite pass rushers are game changers, and Crosby fits that mold perfectly. His ability to disrupt in critical moments, especially in playoff scenarios, cannot be overstated. Of course, there are questions and risks involved. Will the Raiders actually pull the trigger? How much will it cost Washington in terms of draft picks? Will Crosby seamlessly fit into the Commanders' defensive scheme? These are all valid concerns, but the potential upside far outweighs the risks. The Commanders' front seven has been solid but not exceptional. Adding a player of Crosby's caliber could push them into that elite tier, especially when paired with Jonathan Allen and the rest of the defensive line. In terms of team-building philosophy, this move makes sense. The Commanders have shown patience and strategic planning this season, focusing on developing their young talent while making smart additions. Bringing in Crosby would be the kind of move that accelerates their competitive window, giving them a real shot at not just making the playoffs, but making noise once they get there. It's a bold move, but one that could define the franchise for years to come. And let's be honest, the NFC East is wide open right now. The Eagles are formidable, but they're not invincible. The Cowboys are always in the mix with their star-studded defense and explosive offense. The Giants are trying to find their footing again. The Commanders, with a star pass rusher like Crosby, could very well turn the tide in their favor and position themselves as serious contenders by the end of this season and into the next. So what do you think, Washington fans? Is this a move you'd love to see? Would Crosby be the missing piece that propels your team back into Super Bowl contention? It's exciting to imagine a front seven with Crosby, Jonathan Allen, and Montez Sweat working together to terrorize NFC offenses. The potential is there, and the window might be opening for the Commanders to make a bold statement in the league. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Washington Commanders news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. Looking ahead, if this trade happens, the Commanders could be looking at a very different defensive identity. Crosby's presence would allow them to blitz more aggressively, create more sacks, and generate turnovers that could flip the script in close games. Their secondary, which has struggled at times, would benefit from the pressure up front, making their entire defense more cohesive and dangerous. Even in cold weather, Crosby's resilience and relentless style of play would be a nightmare for opposing offenses, especially in divisional matchups that tend to be tight and physical. And from a playoff perspective, having Crosby could be the X factor that gets Washington over the hump. As we've seen in recent seasons, teams with dominant pass rushers tend to perform better when it matters most. His ability to collapse the pocket and force bad throws would be invaluable, especially against high-powered offenses led by QBs like Hurts or Dak Prescott. The NFC is wide open, and a superstar like Crosby could be the difference-maker in key games. Of course, these are all theories and hopes at this point, but the potential is undeniable. The NFL is a league where stars matter, and Crosby is undeniably a star. The question remains, will the Raiders pull the trigger? If they do, the Commanders will have a golden opportunity to reshape their defense and set themselves up for a new era of success. And now, Washington Commanders fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Washington Commanders. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Washington Commanders news.